Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 10th of September 2021. It's the last day of the week. It's a Friday. And this is Omar Khalid But talking about the following topics. We'll begin with, of course, the diplomatic efforts that Pakistan is undergoing as far as the solution in Afghanistan is concerned and the future of Afghanistan is concerned, and bringing in all the stakeholders that are involved, whether it be in the region or in the globe. The latest being Qatar's Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister who's on a visit to Pakistan. His name is, of course, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim Al Thani, who also met with the Prime Minister Imran Khan as well as with the Chief of the Army Staff, General Qamar Javed Bajwa. At the same time, our Foreign Minister has also taken part and hosted a virtual meet of the neighbors of Pakistan as far as finding out a solution for the future of Afghanistan is concerned. This is going to be our first segment. Then, ladies and gentlemen, our second segment of the day concerns the National Action Plan and the implementation of it to fight terrorism and extremism from inside and from the outside. The country's civil and military leadership met on Thursday to meet all the external and internal security challenges and also to try to eliminate the re-emerging terrorist and extremist groups through coordinated efforts and the joint efforts of all the relevant authorities together. This is going to be our second segment of the day. Our third segment is more or less on a very sad note. Veteran journalist, a person who I had talked to in different shows over the years, Rahimullah Yousafzai Saab, has passed away. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un after a protracted battle with cancer. This was confirmed by his son, Arshad Yousafzai. He was Peshawar based and, of course, a very renowned journalist with a thorough insight on Afghan affairs and on the affairs of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. He will be missed. And finally, we'll be talking about Facebook and Ray-Ban, the iconic eyewear that have joined hands together and have launched their new smart glasses. And these glasses are known as, of course, the Ray-Ban Stories shades. And they not only can take pictures and videos with the glasses, but of course you can also use them as normal eyeglasses. Reminds you of Mission Impossible and James Bond, doesn't it? Let's begin with our first segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the efforts by Pakistan as far as finding a diplomatic solution to what is happening in Afghanistan and bringing in all the regional players in order to move forward to find peace and economic stability in our neighboring country. More in the fall, we will be, of course, talking about all the efforts that are being done by Pakistan, whether it be the virtual meet with our Foreign Minister and the neighbors of Pakistan, or whether it be the visits of different important personalities that are coming one after the other, the latest being the Qatari Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister who is here in Pakistan. To talk more about that, we've been joined by Dr. Hussain Shaheed Soherwordi. He's a renowned foreign affairs analyst. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, to have joined us. Dr. Saab, so many different important international visits to Pakistan in the whole context of the Afghan situation. This, of course, doesn't it bode towards Pakistan's importance and Pakistan's role as a regional player for the future of Afghanistan?
Well, this is something very absolutely rightly stated. Pakistan is very closely working with the people in Afghanistan as well as the world community. And the reason is that Pakistan is sharing with Afghanistan 2,340 kilometers long border. More or less, Pakistan is the one that is contributing to Afghanistan's needs because Afghanistan is a landlocked country. So in peace, during conflict, the world community always needed Pakistan in different capacities. One thing. Second thing, remember that geostrategic importance of every country is in the limelight as well as neighboring countries. And Pakistan is so important to Afghanistan that world community had come to Pakistan. When Soviet Union had invaded Afghanistan, world community came to Pakistan. When Soviet Union withdrew from Afghanistan, world community, they came to Pakistan when 9/11 events took place. Even before that, when Taliban rise takes place and Taliban's those strange kind of policies we witnessed between 1996 and 2001. So is the case with right now when we see that the exit of Americans took place and Taliban rise is witnessed. So the world community definitely is direly in need of someone who could really report what kind of circumstances the region is in. The reason is that you know very well that more or less all diplomatic staff has left Afghanistan. Only few countries are there, and they are also neighboring countries who, at the moment, are looking after the
Now, Dr.
Afghanistan.
Soherwordi, let's talk about the different regional players that are, of course, talking to Pakistan, with Pakistan, coordinating with Pakistan as far as Afghanistan is concerned. What are their major concerns in your point of view?
I think that the first thing very important is that the Taliban, they have formed a government which is a single party government. I mean, till now we had seen after 9/11 that Hamid Karzai was in government and Dr. Ashraf Ghani's government was there. But both governments were coalition governments. Different factions had formed the government. Right now it is the Taliban who have come in government. They are just single party, and recently they have announced their acting government at the same time. One thing. Second thing, of course, the world is haunted by the old memories between 1996 and 2001 when Taliban came in government, and they had adopted very strict Sharia laws. So everybody wants to know what kind of policies the present government will adopt. Everybody was talking about inclusive government in Afghanistan.
But I mean, you talk of inclusivity. Pakistan is also talking of inclusivity. But the fact is that this is an interim government, isn't it, Dr. Saab? That it might give rise to a different form of government, or maybe it will include other members in the future.
Well, we need to see if other members will be included in that and if that is beneficial as well. The reason is that we see that one party, which is Taliban, they had fought against foreigners for the last 20 years. And if we are talking about inclusive government, and that inclusive government in which a position will be accommodated with them, I believe that will dilute their ideology. So what I'm trying to say here is that that inclusive government that we were supporting would not be really beneficial. Rather, it will be detrimental to the interests of the majority, which is Taliban government, as well as it will be detrimental to the people of Afghanistan, because then once again they would be against each other, leg pulling each other. I think this is the high time that those who have won the game, they must be given a chance to govern the country, especially when they are showing their...
All right, now you talk about the Afghans or the current government in Afghanistan being given a chance, but aren't there a lot of negative speculations as far as the current governance in Afghanistan, especially by the Western powers?
This is something really quite strange that we start predicting the taste of the pudding without eating that. I think
I agree.
let them proceed, let them adopt the government, let them announce the government, let them govern it. I mean, till now what we are seeing is that they are very docile towards women. Till now what we are witnessing is that they are declaring a general amnesty to everyone who had fought against them. In the previous regime, in the previous government, when they had come in government in 1990s, they were not that conducive. They were not that docile. So I believe they must be given a chance of 3 to 6 months to see how they will proceed on. And after that, we will see if they deserve criticism.
Now let's come to the visit of the Qatari Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister to Pakistan. Now during this visit, he has met with the Prime Minister, he's met with the Chief of the Army Staff, he's met with the Foreign Minister. In the different talks, of our Foreign Minister has also highlighted, as well as our Prime Minister during different other visits as well, about the humanitarian crisis that is slowly and steadily erupting in Afghanistan. Don't you feel that instead of criticizing the current government in Afghanistan, all the powers that be need to move together and forward in order to avert a humanitarian crisis in our neighboring country?
I believe you have given a wonderful, you have asked a question, but this is really a wonderful analysis. Why are we waiting for a disaster to take place? We know that security and politics is at one end, and the other thing is humanitarian assistance to any country. I mean, irrespective of it is Iran or Afghanistan or whatever. Even when it was a difficult time in India, Pakistan was sending support to them on humanitarian ground. So I believe this is the high time that Afghanistan should be looked at from the prism of humanitarian support that they are direly in need of. Had that been the case, had they been very prosperous and wonderful and nice, I don't think this would have been really the case. But at the moment, I think we need to focus on that. Yes, as far as political differences are concerned with the regime that has come in government, that must continue. But this thing that because of regime, because of disagreements with the government that has come in power, we are stopping our financial assistance to them and then making them really an example because of humanitarian disaster that is in the offing. That would really be inhumane that world community will act vis-a-vis
Dr.
Afghanistan.
Soherwordi, there's also the economic challenges that Afghanistan is faced with, and seeing that the different important avenues of getting money are currently blocked as far as the World Bank is concerned or the IMF is concerned, or even the money that is present in the US is concerned, which is currently blocked. Do you feel that Pakistan can lead coordinated efforts with other countries such as Qatar in order to deblock this money so that at least the current Afghan government can move forward with some kind of a pace for development and prosperity in their country?
Right now, Afghanistan's total economy is $6 billion per year, whereas Afghanistan's needs are $22 billion per year. This is the deficit that the world community has to fix. But in the circumstances, once again, I say that if on political grounds, because of disagreements with the regime that has come in government, we are not giving them support, rather we are freezing their assets, that would be counterproductive. I think we are waiting for a human disaster there. This is the high time that we must accept that. Then, if today Taliban are in government, yesterday it was Dr. Ashraf Ghani, we were supporting them. We were giving every kind of support and assistance to them. The question is, what kind of support it was? It was all military support. It was all weapons. It was all something that was related with security. If in the last 20 years, Americans had supported in producing indigenous Afghan economy, that would have been really amazing and great. They failed to do that. And that is one of the big reasons that we are standing at square one. We are unable to see Afghanistan's shape change from the 9/11/2001 till this moment. We believe that Afghanistan is standing right there where Americans had taken over and where they have left. There's no side difference. That's another thing, that $2.6 trillion of claim everybody is making that Americans had invested, but they invested in such sectors which was not only unproductive, rather it was counterproductive.
True. All right. Now, Dr. Saab, also let's discuss a little bit about Pakistan's role in all of this, as well as how Pakistan has been affected in the past due to the conflict in Afghanistan. We know we have lost 80,000 lives, billions and billions of dollars as far as our economy is concerned. And of course, two great wars that our forces have had against these terrorist elements. Now that there's a new government, and there are a lot of speculation as well about the trickling effect of these elements back into Pakistan, how should Pakistan react or move forward in your point of view?
I believe that we have really understood. We must know that we can change our friends, but we cannot change our neighbors. In the circumstances, this is the high time that we must accept that right now who is the strongest party in Afghanistan. Hikmatyar is just one-man show. Dr. Abdullah, he has no support at all from the back. On the other side, Hamid Karzai is there, and you know that he's just one man, limited to his own presidential, to his own palace, personal palace that is there in Kabul. So in the circumstances, there is no such political party which can really take control of Afghanistan. What to think of a bigger party? It is only and only Taliban, and we see that for the first time in the history of Afghanistan, one party has taken full 100% control of the country. Even during Amir Abdurrahman time, there were pockets that were not in control of Kabul. So was the case with King Amanullah. So was the case with King Zahir Shah. So was the case with President Dawood. So and in the last 20, 30 years, what has happened, that is right in front of our eyes. So what I'm saying is that if a party is taking control of entire Afghanistan, I believe they deserve to be in government, and I believe this is the high time that neighboring countries at least must cooperate with them so that we may really hush up. We, the neighboring countries, Afghanistan's people, world community, we are sick and tired of conflict in Afghanistan. It is the high time that we must reconcile and we must make Afghanistan a stronger place to resist conflict and contribute to what we can to the peace as far as long-term
All right.
objectives.
You talked about regional players, Dr. Saab. We know the regional players, the most important being Pakistan, then we have China, we've got Turkey, we've got the Central Asian countries, we've got Iran. And we also see the role that is being played by Qatar. That was emphasized also during the talks between the deputy for the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister of Qatar in Pakistan. Also, we know that Anthony Blinken on the 7th of this very month went to Qatar and met with the Qatari leadership. Do you feel that countries such as Qatar are going to play a very important role as far as the future of stability in the region or the Afghan issue is concerned?
As I stated that all these countries that you just mentioned, including Qatar and the neighboring countries, they don't have any other option. They have seen that right now the strongest party in Afghanistan is Taliban, and they have taken control of not only Kabul but entire country. So morally speaking, legally speaking, ethically speaking, constitutionally speaking, and the international relations political terms-wise speaking, they deserve to be recognized and they deserve to be supported. As far as Qatar's, especially you just mentioned, and I have to comment on that, is concerned, Qatar has been hosting them for the last almost 11 years, and Qatar has been very instrumental in making peace in Afghanistan. They have always supported peace ventures. Right now, when one of the parties has taken control of the country, Qatar is more than any other country supportive to peace ventures, and that is the reason that their high-ups are visiting neighboring countries, as well as they are going now in the next phase to Afghanistan to see what kind of support they can grant to the forthcoming government.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Hussain Shaheed Soherwordi Saab, expert foreign affairs, to have been talking to us about, of course, Afghanistan. We talk about it very regularly because there are a lot of changes that are happening on a very regular level. And also thank you for having given an outlook of the regional scenario as far as Afghanistan is also concerned, and the humanitarian crisis and economic crisis that Afghanistan is facing as we speak. So it is, of course, primordial that the different world bodies and the regional countries come together to move forward with some kind of a policy in order to save Afghanistan from the current crisis that it is facing. Let's begin with our second segment now, ladies and gentlemen. That concerns the National Action Plan, which of course was formulated way back in 2014. But since then, a lot has happened, a lot of changes have happened, and a lot of new things are also happening as far as the external and internal threats are concerned. In this very context, a meeting was held between the civil and military leadership of the country. More in the following report.
The tumultuous security situation of Afghanistan is casting bleak ripple effects upon strategic ambience of entire region. The resurgence of terror threats in Pakistan were manifested in escalating attacks upon security forces in tribal and border areas of the country. In commendable civil-military huddle, the country's civil and military leadership on Thursday vowed to meet all external and internal security challenges through iron hand by combating resurgent terrorists and extremist groups. Eradicating terror proxies requires not only coordinated efforts of all relevant authorities, but also addressing the root cause of this Hydra-headed menace. For countering terrorism, a holistic framework, that is, National Action Plan, provides an excellent way forward. National Action Plan was the state's response to Pakistan's 9/11, the APS Peshawar attack in 2014, where terrorists heinously targeted school children. This was an emergency measure put together under extreme pressure of responding rapidly to an exogenous shock. A meeting of National Action Plan's Apex Committee, which was presided over by Prime Minister Imran Khan and attended by Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa and Inter-Services Intelligence Director General Lieutenant General Faiz Hamid, also reviewed and revised the National Action Plan. The meticulous implementation of National Action Plan is the best answer to defend geographical and ideological frontiers of the country.
We talk more about the National Action Plan, its implication, its importance for regional, national and local stability. We've been joined by General Raza Muhammad Khan. He's, of course, a senior analyst. General Sahab, thank you very much to have joined us. Sir, when it comes to the National Action Plan, I think this is one of the most important things that we need to concentrate on, our different leaderships need to concentrate on, given the current circumstances, given what is happening in Afghanistan, and the possible trickling down of those elements that have been targeting Pakistan in the last few years? How important is it, in your point of view, for the different leaderships to get together, as they have done yesterday, to look at the different factors involved for regional and national security?
Okay, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I think this meeting of the Apex Committee was overdue, and it is very good that this has been held now, particularly in view of what is happening in Afghanistan. First of all, let me make it very clear that the National Action Plan should logically flow out from the National Internal Security Plan, or the NISP, which has been prepared. But I think this is being updated at the Ministry of Interior, which is the lead agency in Pakistan to fight terrorism, extremism, all kinds of violence, and also to control law and order. Now, also that, the issue was discussed for measures at the national level and also at the provincial level, because there is a responsibility of the provinces after the passing of the 18th Amendment, as the enforcement of law and order and also control of terrorism has now been delegated to the provinces. So it was good to know that representatives from the provincial governments were also there. And I'm sure all the 20 points of the National Action Plan would have been discussed. The situation in Afghanistan, again, is still very volatile. We are aware that, as reported by the United Nations, much before the 15th of August last month, they had said that thousands of people have already left Afghanistan. Now, it is quite possible that some miscreants out of them, in the garb of refugee, may have entered Pakistan, either through the small gaps between the Pakistan-Afghanistan border, or through the Pakistan-Iran border, because that part of the border is only half fenced. At the same time, we are aware that when the ISIS-K was targeted by the United States, and when the United States has clearly said that these attacks are likely to continue, so those people could also relocate to Pakistan. The TPP, the raw elements left there, the Baloch insurgents, they are also likely now, to shift to Pakistan. So all these threats and these challenges, I'm sure they would have been discussed in the National Action Plan. We also are aware that I think the Taliban have been requested by the government of Pakistan that all such elements should either be strictly dealt by them, or those elements, who are Pakistani citizens, they should preferably be handed over to Pakistan, so that the law can take its own course. And
All
these
right, you
people
talk about handling of these elements that have been targeting Pakistan in the last few years from Afghanistan. How easy or difficult, in your point of view, will it be for the current Afghan regime to deal with these elements and to curtail them?
Whether it is easy or difficult, they have committed to do that during the Doha conference, and they have given international guarantees to make sure that terrorists are not allowed to use the Afghan soil to threaten any country, particularly their brotherly country, Afghanistan, which in the last 20 years has been the victim of all kinds of terrorism. From Afghanistan, there were Indian proxies, and there were other proxies. The Afghan NDS proxies were there. So they have no other way but to come and do it. If they have any difficulties in that, I think it would be appropriate that Pakistan and the new regime in Afghanistan, they do it together. They have to actually look for the facilitators, the financiers. They also have to look inside, all those refugees who may have either already left recently or the ones who are already there, because these are the people,
Hmm.
who I think will be used by the enemies of Pakistan,
All right,
particularly
you
the
talk
ones.
about the enemies of Pakistan, General Saab, but also do you feel that the recent uh, increase in incidents in Balochistan or in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Waziristan, do you feel that are also a trickle-down effect of what is happening in Afghanistan, or do you feel this is something that was already planned by these extremist elements?
I think what you are saying is both could be correct, and therefore you saw, this escalation because they could see that once the Western forces, when they withdraw from Afghanistan, once the Indians also run away from Afghanistan, then probably, and once the new regime comes, it will be difficult for them. So there has been some reorganization, and I think uh, those attacks were there in the last 1 or 2 months. But now I think the government has taken now serious measures at all levels, and we hope they will be reduced. The security of CPEC, I think, is of paramount importance. This, I think, needs to be done in very intimate coordination with the Chinese government, because uh, this is a threat to the security and to the economies of both these countries, not only Pakistan and China. But I think
When you talk of CPEC, the first name that comes to my mind is the spoiler in all of this region, and that is India. And as per the reports, detailed discussion was also held as far as India and its effect in the region is concerned. How do you feel, in your point of view, sir, is Pakistan moving forward as far as uh, putting India on the global map as far as its nefarious activities and malicious activities against Pakistan and in the region is concerned? Do you feel Pakistan needs to do more, or do you feel that Pakistan needs to also have a more coordinated effort with the other regional players in order to curtail India's effect of spoiler in the region?
I think Pakistan in the past has been providing very elaborate dossiers of the Indian crimes, espionage, uh, in their state-sponsored terrorism, uh, to the United Nations, to the previous Afghan government, to the OIC, but unfortunately, it was to no avail. Right now, when there is great political activity inside Pakistan and everybody is concerned about their security, it is the time now for Pakistan, to share all those dossiers with uh, all these visitors which are coming, high-level visits which are being made, also to share those dossiers with the new government in Afghanistan. And we are aware, that the Indians have been talking of 400 projects in Afghanistan, and they are boasting of all these things and of training 8,000 Afghans. Uh, they, like the past, are going to misuse all these projects, and all the people who were trained in India, they were thoroughly brainwashed, particularly those who belong to the NDS, who have been spewing venom against Pakistan, in the last previous few months. So I'm sure those people who have not been able, to leave Afghanistan, some may have been left, some may have been again hired by RAW to be used subsequently against Pakistan, or given the role of sleeper cells within Afghanistan, both to hurt the internal security of the new regime as well as that of Pakistan. So the conclusion from this is that the border management efforts of Pakistan, they need to be again redoubled, and the government of Afghanistan uh, need to support it wholeheartedly, because it is in the interest of both countries that the Pakistan-Afghanistan border is fenced, and also that the Pak-Iran border is also fenced, because once these terrorists, they find, that the border fencing does not allow them to cross in from this side, probably they will go to Iran and try and cross in from there, from the province of Balochistan, to hurt us and also the Chinese interests.
All right, sir. Also, there's another aspect to all of these spoiler effect, that is cyber security and espionage. Whether it be the EU Disinfo Lab report that we have talked about very extensively in the past, or other ways that spoilers in the region, again I'll mention India and others, are trying to destabilize Pakistan or put a bad name to Pakistan. How important is it also for the Pakistani authorities and different agencies to thwart such attempts, and do you feel they need to be more proactive in that way?
I think the cyber security and the security of our information domain is a subject in itself. It is good that this was discussed in the Apex Committee, but in the Apex Committee, I think there are other stakeholders which should be given a seat, like the Ministry of Information, like PEMRA, and a number of others, who could actually contribute and be made responsible. Uh, and it is the responsibility to fight cybercrime and cyber security. Uh, it's not only the FIA or the security agency, but this is the responsibility of the political leadership as well, who have direct access to the people of Pakistan, who could educate them on the nature of threats and how to respond to them. For instance, a simple uh, mobile telephone, smartphone is now in everybody's hands, and that
Exactly.
is now a big source of the spread of disinformation. People are in the habit of sharing disinformation without any verifications. So this kind of knowledge, I think, needs to be imparted through the media, through the education institutions to our young generation. And I think we need to have a separate national cyber security plan, which should be properly organized and separately funded, because this aspect is not one dimensional. We are aware that there are at least 4 or 5 hostile agencies of the world headed by India who are trying to hurt our national security interest through cyber attacks, cyber espionage, and perception manipulations, particularly of our younger generation.
All right, thank you very much, General Saab, to have joined us. That was Lieutenant General Raza Muhammad Khan Saab, Senior Analyst, who talking about the National Action Plan. Of course, the meeting that was held yesterday between the civil and military leadership of the country to discuss the different aspects of the National Action Plan and how to move forward. Let's come to our third segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns renowned journalist Rahimullah Yousafzai Saab, a very famous journalist, somebody who had his command over the tribal affairs, passed away from a contracted illness that was cancer. More in the following report.
The award-winning iconic journalist Rahimullah Yousafzai passed away in Peshawar on Thursday after courageously battling cancer. The Peshawar-based veteran journalist secured many feathers in his cap during his checkered journey as journalist. He was awarded Tamgha Imtiaz in 2005, followed by Sitara Imtiaz from Government of Pakistan in 2010 as an acknowledgement of his contribution to journalism. Yousafzai covered the situation in Afghanistan since the Soviet invasion in 1979 and interviewed Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden as well as Taliban founder Mullah Omar. Rahimulla was considered a credible authority on Afghan affairs due to his vast field experience and spectacular professionalism. As his son Arshid Yousafzai confirmed the demise of celebrated journalist, tributes pour in for one of Pakistan's most respected journalists. Prime Minister Imran Khan, Chief of Army Staff General Qamar Javed Bajwa has expressed deep sorrow and grief over his demise. According to Prime Minister Imran Khan, Yousafzai was an opinion maker because his columns were well researched. My condolences and prayers go to the family, the Premier added. In a tweet, Information Minister Chaudhry Fawad Hussain said Rahimullah Yousafzai's death marks the end of an era of journalism. The death of Yousafzai, a seasoned analyst and professional journalist, his unprecedented dedication to work has left a huge void in the field of journalism.
Of course, the unprecedented dedication and the professionalism of Rahimullah Yousafzai Sahab will always be remembered. Also, what will be remembered was his soft nature, was his dedicated nature and sincere nature whenever he talked to anybody, including us, when he came to our different shows in PTV World, including mine and my colleagues. He was always a gentle soul. He was always a soul who replied with a lot of authenticity and detail about the different aspects concerning this region. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Let's come to our last segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the developments in the technical field, or should I say the intelligence field. We've seen a lot of things, a lot of new gadgetry in the James Bond films or in the Mission Impossible films, but all of that is slowly and steadily coming to reality now that Facebook and Ray-Ban have joined hands in order to bring forward what is known as the Ray-Ban Stories Shades. Now these are glasses that are the Wayfarers. The Wayfarers are a very old and classic design of the Ray-Ban, and now what they have done is that they have combined their efforts along with Facebook to take out glasses that can take pictures and videos at the same time that you are wearing glasses, and those pictures and videos then can be shared with Facebook on the touch of a button. But of course this raises a lot of security concerns, a lot of concerns that people can take unnecessary videos or pictures whenever they are wearing these shades. So what they have done is there is going to be a small white light that is going to be turned on whenever anybody takes a picture or a video through these glasses, so that people who are, of course, watching themselves being taken in videos or in pictures can know that, of course, this is no longer a private affair that they are attending, and it might be shared with the Facebook application. So, of course, that is one security aspect that I think Ray-Ban and Facebook have done intelligently to cater to, or else it could have been misused in many different things. These, of course, shades are also a step forward as far as the futuristic designs of integrating different things with the different networks, including Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, are concerned. This is the future, and this is what we're going to see in due time also, with different new innovations that are coming up, that have already come up. But as you know, that these glasses are not the first glasses that were invented of this kind. The Google Glass was invented some time back. Also, there was glasses that were invented by Snapchat, but they're very expensive. But these glasses apparently are not going to be very expensive, but at the same time, they are going to serve the purpose for all those tech-savvy people. Well, with that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. It is the end of the week, but as I always end my show, we need to be extremely careful and vigilant with the pandemic that is raising its ugly head across the world, including in Pakistan. There is a Delta and Delta Plus variants, and we might have other variants in the future as well, as has been predicted by the different authorities across the world. So what we need to do, follow the standard operating procedures, wash your hands, wear your mask, keep a safe distance from others in crowded places, and get yourselves vaccinated. I hope the message gets across. We'll see you inshallah on Monday with new stories and news that concern you and us and Pakistan. Till then, have a great weekend. Allah Hafiz.